Recorded live with little or no editing. It's Defense Up. I'm Run 7. Hi. We have today Teriyakis, a.k.a. Colby, who has a war defense for us to go over, coming in at 80 million operating in Plat 3. And if you didn't know, we record these live on Twitch, and you can find me in the description down below. My schedule is all over the place these days, so you never know when I'm going to be streaming, but I do try and stream at least 5 times a week. And of course, we make videos for this channel on the daily when I'm, not too lazy to skip it, but mostly on the daily. Okay, we grade on 5 different criteria. It's who you're using, their placement, their power levels, their ISOs, and what kind of mood I'm in. I had some fabulous minds like Strategist Shiro, Pathfinder Gaming, and Juicy in voice today, helping me figure out some of this stuff because war is getting complicated. We just had some new room rule changes, not room rule changes. Well, yeah, I guess technically room rule changes. We are operating in the bridge on this one, by the way, so it's points to be protected here. But there is the overall encompassing rule that affects, I think it's Spider-Verse characters. It's not all Spider-Verse characters, but we'll get to it. Don't worry about it. Anyway, room number 1 is the Asgardian team, and I hate Teen Loki on this composition. I don't think he adds hardly any value at all. And there's 2 ways that I think we should go. Either we bring in his older variant, which is the adult Loki version, which will adjust some of the counters and how they go into it because it makes the time change for those mystical villain controller peoples, whatever his kit does. It changes the speed, right? So we could use a big Loki in here, or we could throw in a small Sif. Sif is an Asgardian. Hopefully she dies and the Valkyrie doesn't, and then Valkyrie would give that cascade of positive effects to almost the entire team, not Dormammu. Dormammu throwing out those revives. So that's something we could do. There are counters to this. The Eternals with some speed to rewind and double tap and stuff like that. Or there's the War Dogs, which is somewhat effective on different compositions like this. Those are things you can try. But Teen Loki's garbage. Get him out of here. For me, this variant, as we talk about these Asgardians, this one's probably like a B- for me, and I think we could bring it up to an A- with a Loki, or at least a Sif. Okay, moving on, and my buttons aren't working, is going to be the Hive Mind team. Now, Hive Mind can get rolled pretty easy by themselves, and so we're gonna drop the Venom and add a America Chavez in here. We want her adjacent to Red Goblin and Void Knight, speeding them up. That's going to reduce the amount of counters that can go into this team. Otherwise, the counter I always use when I see a Hive Mind like this is the Eternals plus Emma and a 5th. And they absolutely just blow this team up, rewind it, and destroy. I think it's Loki, Emma, Eternals, and a 5th. And it works great. So we don't want that to happen here. It's somewhat of a liability, so let's add in America Chavez. As is, this is probably a C+ team, although it's really big. It is really big. It can be beaten pretty easily. So let's juice it up with America Chavez. Over here, this is where we're stealing Chavez from. Now, Cabal can be used on offense, but the guys are telling me that to make Cabal really work on offense in war, you're kind of using pieces from other counters that already work well on better stuff than the Cabal hybrids would. So throwing your Cabal on defense is just fine. We're gonna leave Emma in here, but we are stealing America Chavez, so we need to replace it and spice it up a bit. We're gonna put in a pre-taunt like Absorbing Man. So it'll be Absorbing Man, Emma, and then the rest of the Cabal in that kind of placement. For me, I'm not excited by this. I think this is pretty meh. I'm gonna go B- on it. The ISOs are right. The placement is, I guess, good enough. I mean, they are trying to speed up Fish Boy, but I'm not a big fan of him in the first place. His kit, I'm a big fan of, not him as a character. Moving on to number 4, Hot Trash. This is an F, big fail. Now, Teriyaki's told me that he doesn't mind putting this on defense. In fact, it helps him so that he doesn't use it on offense because he always loses now that the room rules or the rules have changed. The global rules no longer encompassing this team. They're garbage. We are going to be reserving Death Pool for another team, and it's kind of important, and we'll talk about that later, but the rest of this is trash, so let's get rid of this team and instead just replace it with your normal filler defense, like an H for H variant of your choosing. Whatever you want, just this is going to lose, and it's pointless putting him on here. And the worst part is that we have a really good use for the death pool in here. So get rid of them. Number 5 is the Infestation team, and now we're getting into the meat of this defense right here. Now, this is a big Infestation team, and Pathfinder Gaming says that in order to beat this team, your go-to is the sub-6 team, which is Vulture, Mysterio, Kraven, Slayer. And get this, he's tossing in Kang to make sure he gets the job done. And if you want to know how that team works, you're going to have to go pester Pathfinder Gaming, because it is actually a complicated and very challenging matchup. He says you can also use Echo in there, but that's more of a gamble and may not work for you. But the basic idea is that you're gonna try and control the Spider-Man big time while you take out everybody else, just keeping him ability blocked and killing all the other people around him. And that it's a tough fight. So that's pretty cool. For other people who are considering building their Infestation team, a way you can go about it, and this works better at smaller levels, of course, is having Gear Tier 12 people plus a great big Spider-Man big time. If you run in there with the wrong composition, what ends up happening is you knock those people in Gear Tier 12 into stealth, and your only target left is Spider-Man big time, and you hit him a second time, and he absolutely goes nuts and destroys your team. Juicy was saying how he lost like a 5 million punch down into a 1K team or something ridiculous. Not like, I think he said it was like a 2.5 million team into an 800K Infestation, and he lost it because it just went sideways. With them going under stealth and not giving him any options. But this team is great. I like everything about it. I think even the ISOs stopping at 4 is probably good. This team's going to function just fine right where it's at in this arrangement with those ISOs. So I'm giving this one an A, and moving on to the Spider Society team. I want to give this another A as it stands. I think this is fine, but we can make this an A+. For those of you who broke out your wallet or are unlocking Northstar, we can drop either Gwen or Noir, your choice. Noir can be used elsewhere, but Gwen is the least valuable on the team. So it's kind of your choice. If you want to use Noir someplace, then drop him. But if not, then drop Gwen, as she's the least valuable member on a very, very powerful team as it stands. Like I said, an A for the 5-piece. This is great. But we can make it better by dropping Gwen and adding in Northstar. Northstar stops the counters that use charges. The counters that come into this that use charges, they no longer get their charges, and it becomes an absolute mess to try and take this team down. So A for this, but it could be better. Missed opportunity there to really score some points. And then over here, this one kind of goes in conjunction with the Infestation team. This one is drawing the other half of the Superior 6. The members that you didn't use on Infestation are being used over here. This is what I would consider an A- team. I think it's really good. This could also use, actually, you know what? Let's check the ISOs. Yeah, ISOs are good and placement's fine. I'm gonna go ahead and give this an A, begrudgingly. I kind of like using Cyclops over Spot because that speeds up the forge if somebody dies. But Sunspot also works, and it may be that Sunspot is just built bigger on Teriyaki's roster. And so I'm going to go ahead and give it the A. But we could also put a Northstar on this team to make it that much tougher. They have teams that come in using charges. Those counters use charges. And having Northstar in there neutering that charge mechanic would make this team very, very tough. I think that the place for that Northstar to go is on Spider Society. However, this team works well as is. So having that 3-piece lineup in the defense is really effective as a whole. So there's 3 A's for me. And then over here, we have the Out of Time team. Here's another A. Normally, you might want to consider like a fortifier on your Black Knight, but I don't think so. This is a huge Black Knight, no question about it. Definitely needs Striker. But if you're a smaller player and have a much smaller Black Knight, he's going to be taking hits and you want him to be able to survive. But most of the time, the counters come in here and end up putting some sort of a trauma stun on Black Knight and shutting him down anyways. So if he's going to attack, you want him attacking with that Striker attack and doing a lot of damage. It's a 5-piece. It is what it is. Solid defense, and we could make it a little bit better by swapping some positioning around. We're going to go Black Knight, and then adjacent to Black Knight is going to be Captain America. and then the rest of them, and you're going to have Starbrand on the far end because he's the weakest and dies in a gust of wind most of the time, so you just try and get him away from the taunters so he's not taking as much damage. Hopefully he stays in play a little bit longer. It's a solid team. I'm going to go A- because the placement isn't optimal, but otherwise it's pretty good. Another choice is you can use Black Knight to hybridize one of your other defenses and then use the 4-piece out of time on offense. They have a lot of good, useful tools. I think you could also split this up and make a defense out of the 4-piece out of time. I mean, this is an S-tier character with a B-tier team, making it kind of meta is how this functions, really. So when you take Black Knight out of the equation, placing the out-of-time 4-piece on defense isn't amazing, but it's an option for you. I like what's going on here, though. All right, moving on to team number 9 is the Mercs for money with APOC. Now, here's the thing. Whether you have Deathpool or APOC in here, it's going to pull a Mercs mirror. And so why are we wasting APOC when Deathpool gets the same results for us? So let's get APOC for offense. Super powerful tune for offense, taking care of lots of things like Black Knights and Super Scrolls and all kinds of stuff with his little Falcon Punch. So I think this is pretty wasteful. Super powerful team. Poor choice putting APOC in here. I don't really like it. I'm going to give this a C+ for that move. And instead, we just want to go with a 5-piece Mercs. There is a case to be made with that 5-piece Mercs. It could be challenged by an Underworld team. I think at Teriyaki's level, there may not be as many Underworlds available to go into that, so it's probably going to pull the mirror, and that's what we're hoping for. Alternatively, if you're worried about the Underworld, there's a case where you could put a Kestrel in here. That's pulling from some other compositions that I don't like to pull from myself. So the way to go for me is going to be with the Deathpool. And in number 10, we have a really nice try, but it's kind of going to get killed and you're losing a lot of your good toys because you didn't protect them well enough. So this team, though it is big and amazing and menacing and scary, is gonna get gobbled up in one by anybody who knows what they're doing, so we can make it much more challenging, much more painful to go into by dropping, believe it or not, that 3-diamond Crimson Robbie. We're gonna take him out of here and we're gonna put in a pre-taunt tank. It's gonna go pre-taunt, then Doom, and then the rest of the people. That way, when they go into it, they have a really good chance of triggering that Doom, which will take the scroll on a time platform ride and really snap back and clap people. It's a lot tougher to do that than this composition, which allows people to pick and choose what they want, like come into it with a Gamma APOC and just annihilate it. There's several things that can beat this. It pulls big stuff, right? It absolutely does. But if you put that pre-taunt in there, it makes it an absolute nightmare for people to go into. So for me, this isn't very good. I'm gonna say it's a B-, and I wanna get Robbie out of here and instead put that pre-taunt in here, bringing up the overall score of this team. So the moral of the story is get your Northstar up and running as fast as you possibly can. Remember, Northstar is the most powerful member of the Alpha Flight team, and when the entire Alpha Flight team comes into play, you're not going to be subbing in Northstar anymore. So if you want to really get some value out of Northstar, purchase him. Otherwise, unlock him free to play and get him going. Once you have the entire team up and running, everybody's going to be dealing with an Alpha Flight team of some build because you need it for Alpha Flight raids, right? So Northstar is going to be very impactful in war right from the jump. Anyways, guys, this has been Defense Up War Edition. If you like what you saw, hit that like button, subscribe for more of my videos. I guess there's a notification bell, but I turn off all my push notifications for everything because I have a life and I don't really like recommending people use the notification bell, but use the notification bell because people tell me that I'm supposed to tell you that. I don't know, whatever. Anyways, guys, don't just have a good game, be good to yourselves and others too, and I'll see you next time. Bye.